Welcome to the Diversity Connector podcast, where we explore the rich tapestry of human experiences. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and together as we dive into conversations that bridge cultures, challenge stereotypes, and celebrate the unique perspectives each of us brings to the table. Each episode is a journey through stories and insights from a kaleidoscope of voices, each sharing their colorful narrative. Whether you're at home, on the go, or just anywhere in between, you're now part of a community that values understanding, inclusivity, and the beauty of diversity. So plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's connect through the power of our shared stories. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Diversity Connector podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Diversity Connector. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating man. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Thank you so much, Gertrude, for having me on the show. My full name is Mike Tran, and I'm based in Melbourne. In terms of my story, I worked as a family lawyer, and I became a lawyer a few years ago. And how that came about was when I was trying to think of what to study at university, I really wanted to study something in which I could make a real positive difference to the community. And I very much believed in advancing people's human rights and, a fair and equitable society. So I thought I didn't grow up wanting to become a lawyer, but I wanted to study law so I could make that positive difference. And I thought that I could practice law and also potentially, even if I didn't end up practicing law, I could do a number of careers where I could help to fight for people's rights, and that a law degree would be really useful. So my background is I'm a Vietnamese Australian, and my parents first came to Melbourne as refugees following the Vietnam War in the late 1970s. So it was difficult for them and our family in the beginning, settling as new migrants in this country, not knowing any English at all, having very little money, and having to start from zero again. They were studying at university in Vietnam, and they gave that up to come here. When they came here, they didn't pursue their studies any further. They wanted to work, so they started working in factories, and we were of a working class background, so it was definitely very difficult in the beginning. So growing up here as of a minority cultural background was pretty challenging at first. These days, our society here in Australia has become very diverse, and people are really open-minded, and but back then there was less diversity, so it was kind of it was difficult to grapple with my identity, like being an Australian and also having being a Vietnamese background and having that culture and that heritage as well, and trying to embrace both identities. So growing up as a child, at first, I very much wanted to identify with my Australian identity. I wanted to fit in and feel feel pretty much accepted. But as I grew older and became an adult, I felt that it was really important to embrace my cultural heritage as well, and that to be an Australian, you can have different identities, and it can, you can, that can be combined, and that's all part about being an Australian, because we are a country of migrants, and I think it's really important to embrace that part of yourself. And in terms of growing up here, it was sometimes I felt awkward at school or in the community in general, because I felt like I was different, and I didn't want to feel different. But for the most part, like, people were really open-minded and accepted me, and I grew to accept and embrace my different identities. And and then the other thing I want to discuss was my decision to become a lawyer and study law. Like, while my parents were really supportive of that decision, they thought that being of a migrant or Vietnamese background, that I should pursue something in health sciences or something that didn't involve a lot of talking and communicating in written English, because they felt that that's what white Australians really excelled at, and that to pursue a career in the law was something more for white Australians. But I'm happy that I could pursue that, and that it did work out.
Wow, Mike, what a background you've had. So, how do you integrate diversity and inclusivity in your family practice, especially when dealing with clients from varied backgrounds?
Yes. So you mean how you deal with clients from various differing backgrounds? Is that right, Gertrude?
Yes.
Yeah. Look, it's certainly a challenge. When I was working as a family lawyer, I got inquiries from clients from a range of different backgrounds. Clients who were new migrants to this country, or also a lot of white Australians from regional areas as well. So I guess with each client, we had a different approach, and I had to be sensitive and understand the backdrop and where this client was coming from. But I also found that a lot of clients had similar issues, even though they were from differing backgrounds. So yes, it was about being sensitive to the client's needs.
Okay. So, in your experience, what challenges do diverse communities face in accessing justice in family and immigration law? And how do you address these challenges?
Firstly, the barriers to justice that clients, especially those from migrant backgrounds, come up against is the fact that if they want to speak to a lawyer to get legal advice, they often need money to see a lawyer, and then also there's the issues with having a language barrier, and also reluctance as well to speak to a lawyer, because they feel that lawyers are highly educated professionals and won't really understand the issues they're experiencing. So to address that, I think firstly, private lawyers can provide free legal services to begin with, for example, or also working as a community lawyer outside of private practice, you can provide free legal services to clients, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds. And then in terms of the language barrier, I think it really helps if it's possible to have a translator there working with you, or if you happen to know the language that your clients speak, that the mother tongue language that your clients speak, that really helps clients feel more comfortable to build their relationship with you and develop trust. And then when they do that, they're more comfortable to communicate with you and give the whole backdrop of their problems, and then we can like have a better idea of how to help the client.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about handling cases of family violence.
Yes.
Considering your work with clients affected by family violence, how do you ensure sensitivity and inclusivity while handling such sensitive cases?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good question, Gertrude. Um, I guess so what you're asking is how to make sure the client feels included and be sensitive towards their needs. Is that right, Gertrude?
Yes, because in some communities, talking about it can be shameful. Some people don't even want to go there, to go
Mm,
down the litigation route against the partner. Some
yeah.
are a lot of pressure from the community. How do you deal with such sensitive issues when there's a domestic violence case involved?
Yes. Absolutely. Like that's something as practitioners we always need to keep in mind, and it's something that we frequently come across. Um, there is shame, like you said, and fear as well about even thinking of going down the litigation path. So I found that the best approach was to be very non-judgmental when providing advice to the client. Basically, yeah, like cutting down the legalese, not bombarding clients with a lot of legal knowledge
Mhm.
that might overwhelm them. And also
Yeah.
just to clearly provide the client with their options and let them know that reassure the client that if they're fearful, that they don't necessarily have to go down the route of litigation and getting, for example, an intervention order against their partner who is abusing them. But yeah, just to let them feel like they're in a safe place to talk about their issues, and that,
Yes,
yeah, just give them their options really and reassure them.
that's good. So, can you elaborate on how you provide holistic services that address the legal, social, psychological, and economic needs of your clientele?
Absolutely. So previously, when I was working for a community legal service as a family violence lawyer, we employed a holistic approach when it came to clients, because we could see that with clients, it was often not just legal problems that they were experiencing, but they were like related and connected to a lot of social and economic problems as well.
Yes.
So in addition to providing the client with legal advice, if we could see, for example, that the client had issues with mental health or with housing or with problems with debt and managing their money, that
Yes.
we would then reach out to our partners who were not lawyers but worked in social services that were aimed at helping clients deal with those issues. So
Okay.
yeah, we would routinely talk to those partners, and also, if need be, we would recommend that the client see those, meet up with those social services as well, to
Right.
discuss those other issues.
Okay. So you really were sensitive enough to look at the whole picture, not just one thing. That's just awesome.
Yes, that was really important. Yeah, we had to see it as a whole big picture, rather than just honing in on the legal aspect.
Okay. So, as a lawyer practicing in immigration law,
Mm.
how do you navigate, again, cultural sensitivities and language barriers to effectively assist your clients?
Yes. So yeah, when I was working in migration law, um, it was in order to be sensitive to the client's needs, I would have to communicate clearly with them, often in their own language, as most of my clients were Vietnamese,
Okay.
and just really ensure that they understood what their options were, and to really um, clarify things by answering any questions they had, and
Mhm.
just often when clients were up against the Department of Home Affairs, there's a lot of fear and panic as well. So just making sure that the client, like reassuring the client that, you know, we were doing everything in our power to help them, and then also recommending that they get mental health support if need be, because often these clients were in very stressful situations. So just being mindful of that.
Yeah, it's not easy, especially when you are an immigrant, you don't have any idea what's going on. Getting that support from a law firm should be really good. So, from your experience as a deputy lawyer in IVO matters, how do you advocate for diversity and fair representation?
In my capacity as a duty lawyer, I advocated for fair representation in that, you know, I would assist clients who could not afford a private lawyer, and just the lawyer, the client would need legal representation in their family violence matter, and it was only fair that they be provided a lawyer. So yes, it was about really providing them you know, as sound legal advice, making sure that they were heard, addressing their questions. But I also acknowledge as well that there are a lot of problems with our legal system, and I think with duty lawyers, they often have way too many clients needing to see them that day. So that would affect the amount of time that you could spend advising and talking to each client. But yes, that was one way of, that was how to go about it.
Okay, that would be quite challenging. So, how
Absolutely.
has your cultural background affected your approach to family and immigration law, particularly again when advocating for diverse clients? Do you think just your background has helped you be more empathetic? How do you think your upbringing has helped you in your career?
My upbringing, my background has really helped me in my career in terms of how I help clients, and my understanding of the background they're coming from. For example, I know that many new migrants, for example, Vietnamese migrants, they, for example, may be reluctant to take out an intervention order against an abusive partner, or they're very fearful of the thought of like litigation and going to court, especially given that they have difficulties with English and they don't know much about the legal system. I understand, coming from that background, how difficult it is for clients in general, but especially clients from a migrant or refugee background. It helps me to then be patient in my approach with clients and reassure them, provide them their options, answer all their questions. And yes, I think that's the main thing, really.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about cultural competence. What training or resources do you believe are necessary for legal professionals to effectively serve a diverse clientele base?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Gertrude. I definitely think there are some, there's a lot of improvement that needs to be made in that area. I think practitioners definitely need more training on how to deal with clients from diverse or migrant backgrounds, especially given that many practitioners may not have come from that background. But even so, I think it's really important to understand that the obstacles these clients are up against in terms of language barriers, knowledge of the law, and fear of going to court and litigation. And also their cultural background. There may be a lot of shame at the thought of getting an intervention order if need be, or going through with a divorce, property settlement, parenting dispute. All those things may be really shameful for a client to even consider. So I think practitioners definitely need more training on how to be sensitive and reassure clients, calm clients down, and refer them to mental health support if needed, and also providing clients clearly with the options and the legal advice they need to know. In addition to that, I would also add that especially working in regional areas that, or even in the metro areas, that you'll, as lawyers, we come across clients who identify as Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander clients. So there needs to be more training on how to effectively provide advice and support to those clients as well.
Okay. Now, talking about advice for aspiring lawyers, what advice would you give to aspiring lawyers who want to focus on diversity and inclusion in their future legal practices?
Yeah, I think, for aspiring lawyers, what I would really recommend is, firstly, that perhaps even before an individual considers studying law, that you get work experience if you can as a volunteer, for example, working in a community legal service or working for a law practice where many clients are from a minority cultural background or of the same cultural background as that person who aspires to be a lawyer. And then if that person decides to pursue studies in the law, I would really recommend they continue volunteering or working on a part-time basis as a lawyer, as a paralegal, just to get that exposure, working with clients from a cold background, and really get a feel of practicing law or working in that legal environment, see whether it suits you and your values, and whether you can see yourself having a long-term career in this field.
Yeah. So let's finish off our interview with this last question. Looking ahead, future goals for your services, what are your goals for advancing in the legal field, particularly in the field of family law?
Yes. Well, I think in future, in terms of practicing family law, my goals would be really to provide better quality services to clients, especially those from a migrant background, and becoming, being able to reach and help more clients, disadvantaged clients in the community, through providing better quality advice, getting more training in how to deal with clients from that background, and how to more effectively reassure clients, be more trauma informed as well, being more patient with them, and helping to calm them down, providing holistic services, and in addition to providing them clear, sound legal advice. So I think ultimately I really would like to help more individuals out in the community, be able to reach more people through providing better services, through more training.
Fantastic. Mike, thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story with us today. I have your Instagram handle showing on the screen. If anybody wants to reach out, if you need some legal services, here is a fantastic practice that you can tap into. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you so much, Gertrude. It's an absolute privilege to be here. I'm so grateful that you invited me. So thank you so much.
And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Diversity Connector is bringing you people from all walks of life, bringing you inspiration, knowledge, and skills. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview another amazing person. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thanks again, Mike.
Thanks, Gertrude.
That's a wrap, everybody. on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open, and definitely stay connected.